Good morning, Sir Ed.
Good morning, Trevor.
Let's start by talking about growth. And I want to clear away a couple of small issues you can get out of the way with a yes or no answer. Are you going to back a third runway at Heathrow?
No.
OK, that's clear. Should the government give the green light to the jackdaw?
I can give you explanation why, but you wanted a short answer.
No, I love it. So let me ask you my second question. Should the government give the green light to the Rosebank and Jackdaw oil fields?
No, I think it has to look at that again. It's actually quite a complicated issue because of the legal contracts that were entered into. But I do not think we should see a massive expansion of oil and gas exploration in the North Sea, no.
So to be clear, the oil companies shouldn't... You would prefer them not to be drilling there?
Absolutely.
OK, last one. Should the government be reimposing housing targets on local authorities?
Well, again, a little bit more complicated. Basically, the answer is no. It needs to work with local authorities so that they increase the number of homes that they can build. And they'll need to do that by ensuring that the infrastructure is there, the sewers, the roads, the hospitals, the GPs, the schools. And I think if you do that, you can get communities to buy into more infrastructure. That's what Liberal Democrat councils have been doing, and we've been building a lot more homes, including social homes. So it is more complicated. Liberal Democrats have a community-led approach, so we can get the housing targets up.
Ed Davey, you're in danger of becoming my favourite politician by giving an answer to an actual question. But let me just check one thing. You're clearly not fancying Rachel Reeves's growth agenda very much. And your last answer, unkind people might read that as, the NIMBY Lib Dems are back in fashion.
Well, if they did, they misunderstood me. And let me be clear, there are parts of Rachel Reeves's growth strategy that we agree with. We do need more infrastructure, whether it's on energy, where Liberal Democrats actually led the way, whether it's on aspects of transport, particularly railway infrastructure, and housing. And if you look at Liberal Democrats' record, I could give you a whole list of councils where we are building and have built a lot more housing. I can give you examples where we've championed different forms of infrastructure. So the key thing here, Trevor, is to switch from being NIMBYs to YIMBYs to yes in my backyard. And the way you'll do that is by taking communities with you. My worry is there's a lack of trust in politics at the moment. And if we impose things on communities without taking them with us, that lack of trust is going to get worse. That would damage our democracy even more. And I can point you to many examples where people have taken communities with them and have built the infrastructure.
All right. You're calling this morning for the government to order an independent cost-benefit analysis of a closer trading relationship with the EU. Forgive me for putting it this way, it's a bit wimpish, isn't it? You obviously just want a closer relationship. Why don't you just say, we want a new customs arrangement, we want to be in with the EU?
We've said that. In the last general election manifesto, we were easily the most pro-European of the political parties. I said it on many programmes. And I made a speech just a week or so ago calling for a UK-EU customs union. And the reason is this. Many people are really worried about the cost of living still. Many people are worried about our public services and where's the growth going to come from to pay for the investment we need in our health and our schools and so on. And it's really clear to me that a UK-EU customs union is the best way and the quickest way of getting that growth to lower the prices so people's shopping baskets aren't so expensive, and to get the growth so we get the tax revenues in so we can afford the social care reforms that Liberal Democrats are championing, for example. So we really do want that UK-EU customs union, and I've been advocating it very strongly.
And you'd be prepared to accept what we know already would be the EU's price for that, which is more freedom of movement between the UK and the EU?
Well, actually, that's not quite true. The freedom of movement comes with a single market, not the customs union. You are right to say, however, that the EU has proposed a youth mobility scheme, which has been rejected by both the Conservatives and Labour parties. We think it's a really good idea. We want to negotiate it. We're not quite convinced of some of the details are on the table, but I think there's a negotiation there. And the reason why is that we do want our young people in our country, British young people, to be able to travel and work and study and live across the European neighbours. And we also think that employers here would benefit from some of the talents that we could have to help, again, boost our economy. But the youth mobility scheme is different from free movement to Labour.
Let me ask you about a curious thing. It's a matter of curiosity for me about your position on the EU. Right now, the European Union's leading members are led by people like Giorgia Meloni, Viktor Orban, parties like Sweden Democrats. There's a chance of Marine Le Pen coming into power in France, and a great likelihood that the AfD will be very influential in Germany in 3 weeks' time after the elections. Is that the European Union you dreamed of getting close to?
Look, sometimes countries who are your long-standing allies have people in charge you don't agree with. So I don't agree with President Trump, but I think we have to try to get a deal with him and try to work with him, probably in different ways than we've dealt with past presidents. And equally in Europe, there are, as you quite rightly say, some prime ministers, presidents in EU countries whose views I don't share, and Liberal Democrats don't share. However, our nations share similar interests. There's a war on the European continent, and the vast majority of those more right-wing leaders that you mentioned in Europe are against Putin's invasion on Ukraine. They realise it threatens our defence and security. And one of the ways I'm making the case, whether it's on the UK-EU customs union or more cooperation with our European allies more broadly, is because our trade, prosperity and economic prospects depend on better relations than the Conservatives managed to achieve. In fact, they completely made those relations appalling. Plus, through NATO and through something called the Joint Expeditionary Force, JEF, we can work with our European neighbours far more effectively to make sure we have the defence and security our country needs.
Forgive me for hurrying you up, Ed Davey, but I just want to take 30 seconds to give you the chance to answer something. I guess you're now internationally famous, having been described by Elon Musk as a snivelling cretin. Would you like to respond?
Listen, Trevor, I've been in politics for long enough to know that there are insults made, and I'm sometimes not always complimentary about people like Elon Musk. However, the real issue of substance is that Elon Musk said that the British government, elected by the British people just a few months ago, should be overthrown. That's what he said. And he's now in the administration in America. He's sort of camped out in Trump's Oval Office. And I think that's a real matter of concern. And he didn't like it when I said, when he says those things, Britain, through our ambassadors, through our government relations, need to call him out. And I repeat, I think Elon Musk needs to be held to account, both by President Trump for the comments he made about the UK, and actually this world's richest man who has all this power with his social media platform, and now, the best friend of the new President of the United States, is incredibly powerful, and I think he has to be held to account. And Britain, with our relationship with Europe, and Britain with our relationship with our European colleagues, needs to make sure that calling out these over-powerful billionaire US tech magnates like Elon Trump, we can't allow them to get away with what they're trying to get away with. It's too damaging.
I'm sorry we've got to call a halt there, but thank you so much for that response.
Thank you.